In West Africa, a new storm is rising. But this storm is not one of destruction. It is not a storm of chaos. It is a storm of awakening, a storm of resistance, a storm of hope. The young revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has once again stood at the center of history. In a time when many doubted him, in a time when outsiders predicted his downfall, he has turned the tables on ECOWAS, the very organization that once sought to isolate him. For years, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger were portrayed as weak. For years, they were targeted by destabilization plots, sanctioned by their own brothers, and left to fend for themselves against foreign interference. Yet today, Captain Traoré stands tall and unshakable. He has become a symbol not only for his nation, but for an entire continent searching for dignity and independence. When President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, the sitting chairman of ECOWAS, traveled to Ouagadougou, he carried with him a mission. His hope was to persuade Traoré to bring Burkina Faso back into ECOWAS, to reconcile the fractured relationship, to undo the birth of the Alliance of Sahel States. But instead of bowing to this pressure, something extraordinary happened. Captain Traoré looked the chairman in the eye and declared boldly, "The future belongs to the Alliance of Sahel States, AES." In that moment, the world was reminded of a simple truth. Africa's destiny will not be dictated by outsiders. Africa's path will not be written in Paris or Washington. The new chapter belongs to Africans themselves. This declaration was more than diplomacy. It was more than a refusal. It was a message to the world, a message of African solidarity, of African unity, of a new era that cannot and will not be reversed. To understand the magnitude of this event, we must go back. ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, was created with noble intentions. Its mission was to unite the region, to promote cooperation, and to defend the sovereignty of its people. For decades, it stood as a beacon of regional strength, but in recent years that beacon dimmed. The same organization that once promised to safeguard Africa's independence instead became a tool of division, a weapon in the hands of outsiders. When France destabilized the Sahel, when foreign powers armed terrorists, when coups were fueled from the shadows, ECOWAS remained silent. They did not condemn France. They did not speak against foreign meddling. They did not defend the sovereignty of Mali, Niger, or Burkina Faso. Instead, they turned their backs. Instead, they imposed sanctions on their own brothers. Instead, they acted as enforcers for those who sought to keep Africa weak. It was in that betrayal that the Alliance of Sahel States was born. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso looked at one another and said, "Enough is enough. We shall defend ourselves. We shall govern ourselves. We shall build our own future on our own terms. No more dependence, no more begging, no more waiting for outsiders to decide our fate." This is the backdrop against which President Maada Bio's visit unfolded. And it is why his gesture carried such weight. He came not as an enemy, not as a critic, but as a brother. He stood side by side with Captain Traoré and declared, "We are brothers. We cannot be divided." My visit is a gesture of solidarity to show the President and the people of Burkina Faso that they are not alone. We will do all we can to bring peace back to this country. Those words were not ordinary diplomatic phrases. They were not scripted lines from a protocol speech. They came from the heart of a man who had seen war in his own country. Julius Maada Bio, once a soldier himself, once a leader who navigated Sierra Leone through civil conflict, understood what Burkina Faso is enduring. When he looked into Traoré's eyes, he did not simply see a leader of another country. He saw a reflection of his own past, his own struggle, his own pain. This was no ordinary visit. This was not just a handshake for the cameras. This was a profound act of African solidarity. Bio reminded the continent that unity is not a luxury, it is a necessity. He reminded us that peace and development cannot come from division, cannot come from betrayal, cannot come from dependency. They can only come when Africans stand together as brothers and sisters. But then came the twist that shook the region. ECOWAS, after years of acting as an instrument of foreign powers, attempted to extend its hand once more. They came offering support, pretending to heal the cracks, pretending to reconcile. Yet Captain Ibrahim Traoré, with the courage of a lion, responded with clarity. We will not walk backwards. Our path forward is the Alliance of Sahel States. In that instant, ECOWAS was neutralized. Their pressure dissolved, their influence shattered. For decades, ECOWAS was used as a puppet, echoing foreign voices, threatening sanctions, and dividing Africa. But now, in the heart of Ouagadougou, the script was flipped upside down. No longer was Burkina Faso begging for inclusion. No longer were the Sahel nations pleading for recognition. Today, it is ECOWAS searching for relevance. It is ECOWAS scrambling to adapt to the rising tide of Pan-Africanism that is sweeping across the continent. What happened in Burkina Faso is bigger than one meeting, bigger than one leader. It is the spirit of a new Africa. What unfolded in Ouagadougou was more than diplomacy. It was a shift in destiny, a reminder that the struggle of Africa's greatest sons, Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, Nelson Mandela, was not in vain. These men dreamed of an Africa united, strong, and unyielding in the face of foreign exploitation. And on that day, through Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the Alliance of Sahel States, that dream flickered alive once more. The message is undeniable. Africa will not kneel. Africa will not bow. For too long, outside powers destabilized the continent, armed rebels, imposed debts, and divided nations. For too long, African leaders were pressured to follow foreign scripts, to speak with foreign voices, to act against their own people. But that era is dying. France may continue to meddle. Western media may continue to mock. Generals like Langley may continue to plot from distant bases. But the young lions of the Sahel have risen. They roar not only for Burkina Faso, not only for Mali, not only for Niger, but for the entire continent. Their roar is the sound of Pan-Africanism reborn. In this roar is a warning. Africa's unity is no longer negotiable. Its sovereignty is no longer up for debate. Its future belongs to Africans themselves. What took place in Ouagadougou was not simply about Burkina Faso and ECOWAS. It was about the soul of Africa. The significance of Sierra Leone's solidarity cannot be overstated. Julius Maada Bio's presence proved that African leaders are capable of rising above external manipulation. His visit was a reminder that solidarity is not weakness. It is strength. It is survival. It is the very foundation of Africa's path to peace and prosperity. And yet the question remains, will the rest of Africa rise to this call? Will Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, and other giants of the region choose to stand with the Sahel? Or will they remain silent, shackled by the same forces that have long divided us? Because make no mistake, this is Africa's moment. This is history being written in real time. The world is watching, and the choices made today will echo for generations. ECOWAS, once the symbol of regional unity, now faces its greatest crisis of legitimacy. For years, it acted not as a shield for Africans, but as a weapon against them. When France destabilized the Sahel, ECOWAS was silent. When foreign powers manipulated governments, ECOWAS did not resist. But when Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso chose independence, ECOWAS was swift to punish them. That hypocrisy is what birthed the Alliance of Sahel States. That betrayal is what gave life to a new vision. And now ECOWAS stands exposed, neutralized, searching for relevance. The tide has shifted. The balance of power is changing. The Alliance of Sahel States is not begging for recognition. They are building their own future. They are funding their own projects. They are protecting their own sovereignty. Without France, without Europe, without ECOWAS. This is what true independence looks like. This is what Pan-Africanism feels like when it moves beyond speeches and into action. To the world, Ouagadougou sent a warning. To France, to the West, to every puppet regime still clinging to colonial chains. Africa is awake. Africa is rising. The era of manipulation is ending. The young leaders of the Sahel have made it clear they will not be threatened, they will not be divided, and they will not be controlled. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again proven that the spirit of Africa cannot be broken. His defiance is not arrogance. It is the voice of millions who refuse to remain silent. His stance is not isolation. It is an invitation to all Africans to remember who they are, to stand tall, and to embrace unity. So the question now is simple. Will Africa rise together, or will fear and hesitation keep some nations chained to the past? History has been made. Sierra Leone stood with Burkina Faso. ECOWAS was neutralized. The Alliance of Sahel States stood firm. And Africa, for the first time in decades, felt the pulse of true independence beating once again. This is more than politics. This is more than diplomacy. This is African solidarity in action. This is the dream of Sankara, Lumumba, Nkrumah, and Mandela alive in the hearts of a new generation. And to the world, Africa has one message. We are one. We are strong, and we shall never be divided again.